Welcome back to the TCK Podcast. This is episode number 2, or addendum to part number 1. We left you because the camera stopped recording, but George was talking to us about stress and how his lifestyle and diet were stressing him out to a point that became dangerous.
Yeah, so a little on the psychology of eating, and I know I'm not the only one that's experienced this, but when you start stressing and becoming neurotic about your food, which is what was happening with me, you tend to do more harm than good. You know, the stress over, I can't eat this because it might have GMOs, which is still a big thing for me. It is, or I can't eat this because it's not organic. Well, I've learned to let a little bit of that go over time when I realized that it was becoming unhealthy and that it was affecting my relationships around with other people. They're like, oh, I don't want to go out with this guy. This guy's just going to be judging me the whole time when I'm having my Dunkin' Donuts, beaver butt coffee.
Yep. You're going to be that guy. You'll be the quintessential vegan.
Yeah, but I'm totally not that guy. Your food choices are your own, and I'm not here to make any assumptions or judgments upon you. It's not who I am. In fact, I just want to enjoy your company and, in the relationship we have. So I would let go of that a lot. I eat mostly organic. I do try to find non-GMO as much as possible.
Yes.
And with food, I just make sure with meat especially, no antibiotics, no hormones or steroids added. It could be a vegetarian diet. I'm not as picky as I used to be. It used to be grass-fed, grass-finished, that's it. It can't be anything else. There are a lot of benefits to grass-fed, grass-finished, including like CLA, conjugated linoleic acid, which is an omega-6 fatty acid that you can only get from grass-fed animals. And it's been known to help protect against cancer. So that's definitely a plus, but it's also really expensive. We're talking upwards to almost $9 a pound at most places now, which is ridiculous.
And do you know why it's so expensive? I found out.
Oh, no, please tell.
Okay. So in my search to find out what the best food is for the money, because I like bison a lot. It is beautiful meat.
Yes.
But what I discovered was the price of these nicer meats, grass-fed beef, grass-fed whatever, the reason why they're more expensive is not because they don't have the space. It's not because they don't have, the farmer doesn't have a way to expand where they go. The reason for the pricing is all because the FDA and the other agencies, I forget their little acronyms, but the other agencies charge the farmers a lot of money to have that certification.
Yeah.
So the grass-fed,
grass-fed or organic certified,
open range or whatever it is.
Yeah, the government's got to make money on everything.
All the way, but that's part of the thing that I really don't like about small farming and the government, is that for you to be USDA certified as an organic farm, you have to concede to regular checks of your systems, but it's all paperwork. They don't actually go into your fields and check what you're doing. They check your papers. They check what you're using, who you're buying your stuff from. And you just have to jump through all the government hoops, and then if you do that, then you're a certified organic farmer. But you have to pay thousands upon thousands of dollars. So if you have a small dairy farm, and you want to be a USDA certified dairy farm, you have to pay them thousands of dollars a month or a year or something like that for them to hold up your certification level. So now your gallon of milk that was costing you like $1 is now going to cost you $6.
Hey, that's gone up even for we were getting raw milk. Yes, we were getting raw milk.
Yep.
And we did cross borders to get it, but guess what? For the health of my family, it was totally worth it. And except now it went from $5 a gallon for raw, unhomogenized, pasteurized milk to almost $8-9 a gallon, and that stuff would go quick in my house. I couldn't drink it even, because I'm lactose intolerant completely to the point where I can't even do the raw dairy. But my kids, it was super beneficial for them getting all that good bacteria and everything.
All the way.
But we can't. This is some things we can't afford to do, and that's because that the government's putting such high standards that they're trying to prevent these things from actually happening.
Yeah, I think it's a part of not only just the oh poor me culture, but it's the hypochondriac culture that we're in now, where
everybody has everything.
Do you know what yogurt is made of? Yogurt is a culture of bacteria in dairy. That's what it is. It's a bunch of little germs and bugs and little crazy little critters running around making yogurt. That's what it is. It's not like you go to the yogurt factory and there's a yogurt cow that's just sitting there eating grapes, getting fanned and going and pumping out little things of Dannon. That's not how it works. It's
Yo play.
Yeah. Yo, play me a song. Yo play. It's this whole system, and for them to create yogurt, you have to use bacteria. So when, someone goes like, oh, hi, how are you doing? Oh, get the hand sanitizer. You're depleting your own immune system. So back in the 80s when AIDS was like really on the rise and everyone's like, oh, you're going to catch the AIDS, and had the prefix the before it.
Yeah, the,
Yeah,
yes.
the AIDS, which is just an autoimmune disease, which is not unlike any other autoimmune disease. And I think mono is one of them.
Yeah. Mononucleosis, yeah.
Which happens to a lot of people, but you don't see them freaking out and getting antibacterial soap, which, by the way, we both know. But if you don't know, check out the real ingredients of anything that says antibacterial, because chances are it's made with triclosan.
Yes.
And that is a registered pesticide.
With the FDA, yes.
Yep.
It's pretty intense stuff, and it's usually the active ingredient, not even inactive.
Yeah, it's an active ingredient.
It's usually the active ingredient.
So it's like,
and then alcohol is next.
Yeah, I envision like I work at a department store, and what I hate is getting asked to put chemicals out, because I know that I'm contributing to someone's poorer health at some time.
And not only that, you're exposing yourself, because
Yep.
those things, you walk down that aisle, most people get a headache, and they're like, oh, I can't walk down that aisle, I get a headache. I can't go into Yankee Candle because I get a headache. Guess what? It's because they're not real.
No, they're
Those
not.
aren't things that are supposed to be in our body.
No.
And it's causing a lot of issues, chemically, hormonally, and then that is changing our epigenetics. That's another podcast.
Yes, it is.
So, and it's manipulating our DNA completely in a very short amount of time, and it's not good for our everybody. It's just, the thing about it is that it takes thousands of years for our genetics to change. We're changing them in 50.
Yeah.
And the only thing that correlates to that is the increase in chemicals. And I say chemicals, but I mean toxic chemicals.
Yeah.
Because you can H2O is a chemical, and that's just water. So to be more specific, I mean harmful, toxic, carcinogenic, endocrine disrupting, chemicals. So that's a really big thing to differentiate the two.
Yeah, there's one big thing that I started noticing, like when you and I were growing up, when, we were in like the first and second grade, you kind of could compare the male versus female group of our first and second grade to that in 1950 and 1960.
Sure.
Then you look at the next generation. So when we are in 10th, 11th grade, the 5th and 6th graders that are behind us, they are now physically at a level that we haven't seen yet in 17, 18-year-old women. Yeah,
no, absolutely. The early puberty in development, I mean, little girls are, having full-blown breast before they're even in the 8th grade.
Imagine not only how confusing that is, but then it also presents a question of role, identity,
Sure.
What this is for, and it's all because of environmental factor. Which, speaking of environmental factor, hold that thought, cameraman. What is it? The statistic on cancers. It was 10% is...
all right, so 10% of cancer is genetic, 90% is environmental.
Yes, that's what I was looking for.
Yes.
Which it kind of plays into this whole thing I was talking about with the early puberty thing. Because of all the chemicals that we're exposing ourselves to, and then they change our genomes, our children's genomes are now changed.
Yes.
So all of these crazy endocrine disrupting chemicals that control all of your hormones, your lymph nodes, everything else associated with that, including early menopause and prostate problems in men, testicular cancer in men, ovarian cancer in women. All these things come from...
Not to mention the increase in breast cancer
yes.
in men.
Oh, yes. That's a really, really big one. And I did a gigantic video on Meep Radio. Don't feel, you don't really have to watch it. It's ridiculously long. But we're going to be doing another one on it. And it'll be much better, very well done. But one of the biggest things is that there are common everyday things that we use that are completely destructive to the system.
BPAs.
Yep, which also, at my department store, I refuse to work a register because registers now exclusively use heat contact paper. And that contact paper has loaded with BPA, which will go through your skin. I don't care how thick your calluses are in your skin. It'll go into your skin within 20 seconds of holding that.
Yeah. The average chemical absorbs within 26 seconds, depending on where it is.
Yep.
And like your groin, armpits, your scalp can absorb up to 100% of those chemicals.
Yeah.
So that's pretty scary when you're thinking about shampoo and everything, and just everything that you're putting in your hair, hairspray, whatever it is that your daily regimen is.
Oh yeah, it's unreal, and not to mention what's right here. You got all the lymph nodes.
All the lymph nodes. That's your major lymph drainage right there in your armpits. And then we're putting antiperspirants and everything blocking that. And there's also parabens. Parabens have been correlated to breast cancer in women.
Yes,
so
they have.
It's pretty scary what's out there. And these are the things that we're going to dive more into as we go on and we hear from your requests on different topics that you want us to cover.
Yep, and we are getting close to our time, so thank you very much for watching TCK Podcast, the first couple episodes here. Email us, subscribe, contact us in any way you see fit. Visit
Donate,
the website.
please, because all of your contributions will go directly toward production and new equipment to make this better so we can provide better content and make it more available to everybody out there. That's our goal isn't to profit solely from this. We want to be able to help as many people as possible, and there is a donate button up on the website, tattooedcavemankitchen.com. So please just remember that all the proceeds to that will go directly toward helping other people. All right, and please feel free to visit Philanthropy Tea and Coffee House out in Chepachet, Rhode Island. They have been nice enough to sponsor us, allow us to use their facility here for recording this podcast, so we're able to get this content out to you.
Yep, and if it weren't for Philanthropy being the great people that they are, we would not be able to do this. We'd probably be on the floor of the living room someplace, and it would look like crap. So we are very appreciative to Philanthropy Tico.
Absolutely, because this place is amazing.
It's absolutely perfect. And just another thing for the donate button, we're not looking to get rich off of this. Basically, we're using borrowed equipment right now. What we want to be able to do is bring you material, documentary style, start a streaming podcast, a streaming radio show. We want to make it available to you for download on iTunes, for RSS feeds, on Zune, on whatever media platform you want to listen to the show, whether, they have these cars now. I'm still living in the 90s. They have these cars now where you can just plug in something and it goes through all the speakers and you can tell it to do what you want it to do. Yep. It's insane. My Jeep, I'm lucky if it starts, I'm lucky. I don't have, I barely have power steering, so this new stuff is really crazy to me. But I know that you can now have stuff downloaded in the little screen thing on the car.
Automatically.
And it'll just play.
Yep.
So you can have iTunes in your car, and that's really cool. And that's why we want to do this, because all that hosting costs money. So we aren't necessarily profiting off of anything. It's mainly to help get the content out to you and to your fellow listeners. So by your contribution of a donation, whatever denomination it happens to be, that contribution goes directly into the TCK project to bring you material for travel expenses, for going to fund other things.
Yeah, and our interviews with the wonderful people, we've already got 3 lined up for you all, hopefully mid to late August, early September. We're still working on a few more. So those are going to be really good. Just trying to get the local businesses, a grassroots reach, as that's where it starts. Grassroots uprising, that's how everything gets done. It's been happening ever since the dawn of time. The little guys rise up. So that's what we were trying to do, is trying to simulate the economy with that. And usually it's going to be like a health modality. We're going to be interviewing the owner here at Philanthropy and why anti-human trafficking is so important to her story, really. And also, hey, they have gluten-free crepes of all kinds. It's phenomenal. You just need to come down and try it.
Yeah. If not for the purple drapery, you got to check it out for the rest of this place, because I wish you could see what I'm looking at right now. There's paintings everywhere and wonderful wooden woodwork. Well, wooden woodwork, but it's everywhere. You know, this place is absolutely fantastic, and make sure you come on down. Philanthropy Tico in Patrick, Rhode Island.
Peace.
Thank you very much for watching the TCK Podcast. This is Nick and George signing off.